like and subscribe. What's the film everyone liked, but you hated? Gravity. I remember the hype about that movie, yet it was so underwhelming. Just stuck in a space pod for the entirety of the entire movie. Avatar. The James Cameron one. We all know Airbender is hot trash lol. Not hated, but I thought was meh. Black Panther. People were saying OMG this movie is amazing. But I felt it was okay. TBH I felt like I saw the same plot beats before. I'm just here to remind everyone to sort by controversial. TBH I find nearly every Marvel film to be just a recycled version of the one that came before it. The Notebook. Just ugh. The Fast and Furiouses. Bird Box was so bad. Pearl Harbor. 10 minutes of action then it's just a big boring romance drama. Time was kinda with me on this, but Crash. Frozen. Definitely with you on that. Walked out of the theater thinking, that's it? That's what all the hype is for. In comparison to Tangled and Princess and the Frog, it just felt so empty and superficial. Avatar. Watched it once and never again. It was so unoriginal and unsuspenseful. Hunger Games. Found it overrated and did not like the plotline. The films were definitely hyped up as the next big franchise, but they are dystopian fiction, and not everyone enjoys that genre. Also, as a fan of the books and dystopian fiction in general, I will say that the first two films were incredible adaptations, but the second two should never have been split up. There is no great way to adapt a book that focuses on internal conflict and monologue into a film, and splitting it into two, thanks Harry Potter, made for an anticlimactic ending to an otherwise potentially great trilogy. It's no wonder half the audience gave up. Napoleon Dynamite. Came out when I was 10 years old and all my friends were acting like it was the funniest thing ever. When I finally watched it, I was so bored I started itching. This is one of my favorite movies. However, I quickly learned that there is no in between with Napoleon Dynamite. You either love it or hate it. All that, and the only reason I commented was because of your line, I was so bored I started itching. I have had a very bland day. Not bad really, just boring and stressful. That made me smile. Thank you. I don't know if anyone was hype about it among my friends, but I loathed every minute of Aquaman. I like a lot of DC films, but that one broke my spirit. I actually had to walk out. That's really interesting, because of the recent DC movies, I'd argue that Aquaman was the least terrible. The Shape of Water. Basic rule of movies these days is that, if there is a humanoid robot/creature that does not immediately kill everything in its path, someone is going to it. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't hate them, but I have issues. The writing feels repetitive with each film, the humor drags the plot, they're all visually dull films with bland color grading, basic cinematography and mediocre VFX, and I feel they don't need to release 3 to 4 movies a year. Edit. First time I got rewarded. Joker. It didn't really make me nervous or anything, and I think Joaquin did a great performance, but still the movie was kinda boring for me. American Sniper. It's like watching the American version of a WW2 Nazi propaganda film. Additionally, the movie portrays the Marines in Ramadi as idiots and cowards, when in reality they fought with bravery and distinction, and were largely responsible for capturing the city. Man of Steel. Fell asleep at the movies due to the insanely drawn out fight scenes. Uncut Gems. That movie was stressful in the worst ways, full of characters I didn't like, but didn't hate enough to care what happened to them. It just seemed like such a pointless movie. I think that was the point of the movie. To be stressful and uncomfortable and to watch all these horrible people crash and burn. Got Avatar. Only movie I've ever walked out of. The Notebook. Frozen. That never shut up. I like Disney and the songs, but Frozen was too much. The songs were stupid and obnoxious. Tangled is 10,000 times better. Napoleon Dynamite. I just don't get the humor. These types of threads always turn into basically every movie ever. Donnie Darko. When I was in college it was like this big hip thing to luo that movie Sumuo Vertical Bar. I thought it was self-indulgent trad crap that caused me to lose 2 precious hours of my life, and I know a lot of other people thought the same thing, but pretended to love it, just to look smart or something. I don't know if everyone liked this one or not, but it was nominated for awards. The Irishman. It was like, hey, did you like Goodfellas? Here's a movie that will sorta remind you of it, except it sucks. Goodfellas was great though. I could watch that over and over. But Scorsese hasn't made a good movie in a long time. Elf. And yes, this helmet is for when you start throwing stones. Les Mis. I'm a huge fan of the musical, and about 80% of the singers in that movie had no business being in a musical, period, let alone one as demanding and difficult as Les Mis. But also the director is trash. He literally had them sing live, which means he had to do hundreds of takes, meaning the actors were all singing for like 8+ hours a day, often without breaks. Do you know how much that could damage Somiano's voice? La La Land, an hour and a half of plotless blah, and then what's supposed to be a tearjerker ending? No thanks. Titanic. Awful. This is so appropriate, because I just rewatched Titanic again after like 15 years and I *hated it. I texted my mom an incredibly long rant about it. I'll just drop it here. I'm rewatching Titanic, and the scene where women and children are getting on the lifeboats and saying goodbye to the fathers is making me tear up. I could not imagine how hard it must have actually been for families to split up like that on the actual Titanic. Made me tear up more than the stupid romance. This has known him 2 days, and they act like it's the saddest thing ever. Meanwhile fathers are literally lying to their departing children saying, I'll see you soon, knowing they won't see them soon. Like, I genuinely could not see me leaving my husband behind. But someone would have to get on that boat with my daughter, and they're not letting men on. That's some sophist choice. Oh, your one night stand froze in the ocean? Well, a mother put her kids to bed knowing they were about to drown. But at least your nude portrait was preserved. Here my mom interjected to comment on Rose just tossing the diamond into the ocean. Right. Imagine you take your grandma out on an expedition with a bunch of scientists to find an expensive diamond, and all she does is talk about the fantastic she received on the night of a great American tragedy, and this had the diamond the whole time. A lot of people hate really good movies apparently. Well, that is an inherent result when you ask such a question. Silver Linings Playbook. What a piece of garbage. Black Panther. It was so mid. Joker, 2019. Worst movie of all time in my opinion. Edit, it's the worst of all time to me cause it turned a mysterious and enigmatic psychopath with no official comic origin into essentially a one-dimensional incel who was just an outcast. So while yes it had good acting and great cinematography, it is the worst movie cause it made this insanely complex character a Winnie and mopey imbecile. Mad Maximum Fury Road. Look, I love a good car chase as much as the next red-blooded man, but come on, the whole movie is one long car chase. Disagree, I would be down for a second one. Every Marvel film. Signs was nonsense, and I can't understand why anyone liked it. The demon theory about the aliens really changes the whole movie for me. Also, the movie is legitimately scary as hell. The scene with the alien on the roof, the birthday party video, and the leg disappearing into the cornfield are still terrifying. Aliens who are deathly allergic to water. Hey, let's go to a planet that's covered in water. LOTR. Boring. I suppose you think that was terribly clever. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.